Scar said it best. It's worthwhile to dive into a momentous occasion like Crisis on Infinite Earths with a little bit of knowledge beforehand. I mean, nobody wants to look like a scrub online when you can't even get a reference to the ELSEWORLDS crossover, right? Don't worry though, because the Binger has your back. Consider this video your emergency backpack to the Arrowverse. No more random Googling in the middle of episodes for you this season. It's time to get educated on all things Flash, Supergirl, and Green Arrow. Just be warned, there are some sad episodes in this collection. We're not ready. We take that back. We are totally ready for this huge television event. The first sniff of the end is in the ELSEWORLDS crossover event. So why is it worth a revisit? Well, let's start at the beginning. Perhaps the most amazing part of this episode is it features the debut of Lois Lane. But in truth, that's like the bottom of the cool meter. That's how jam-packed this first crossover episode is with special treats for fans. Seriously, the moments just keep coming. Though we do love that Lois Lane introduces herself as Lois Lane Daily Planet, that's classic journalism networking at its finest right there. The big kicker is the change in reality. Turns out the Monitor provided a professor named Dr. John Deegan with a book that can rewrite reality. Deegan decides to switch the lives of Oliver and Barry. The two recognize the change and struggle to adjust to each other's lives. This episode marks the first time that any of our main characters see the Monitor, a key figure in the crisis. It's also a notable episode for the way that it develops the relationship between the Flash and Green Arrow. This time, Arrow gets a shot at handling the odd Freaky Friday scenario in front of them. It's honestly a great episode. Remember when a bunch of Arrow fans on Reddit turned their subreddit into a Flash fandom to protest Felicity? Yeah, well, the showrunners illustrated in this crossover just how far past that speed bump the show is now. The normally dark and dreary Arrow is filled with some good banter and lighthearted moments, which is even more surprising given the fact that the story takes place in Gotham. It's also the debut of said city and Batwoman. Yeah, that alone makes the rewatch worth the undertaking. Ultimately, this show pulls its focus onto the CW Trinity. Kara Danvers is struggling with her identity crisis, and a conversation with Batwoman expels a lot of problems with famous cousins. Still, the big breakthrough comes in Barry and Oliver. The two realize just how tough the other one has it. Before they can adjust and save the world, the Monitor shows back up and helps Deegan rewrite reality again. It's the perfect bait and switch. It's hard to highlight every reason why this crossover in particular is worth revisiting. It all comes together in the end product. Watching the 3 episodes together completes the puzzle, because without this Supergirl episode, the whole thing is just a nice gimmick. The last part here struggles to keep Supergirl in the front line. Her cousin Superman is now Deegan, and fans felt like it was a hint at a future Injustice world. However, that theory isn't even close to being proven even now. The only thing that we get from that whole plotline is a great superhero fight. The real focus is on Oliver Queen. See, the ELSEWORLDS crossover ends up taking place at a very big moment in Oliver's life. He just got out of prison and revealed his true persona to the public. It's straining every part of his journey. One of the biggest revelations he gets is that he isn't like Kara and Barry. They stand for a hope that his actions can never reach. Basically, everyone is sure that he's gonna take one for the team in the crisis, if you know what we mean. The title of the episode tells us all we need to know. It's the year 2040, and Mia Smoke is choosing to pick up the bow and arrow. That's it. End of entry. Thanks for coming. Alright, so obviously there's a lot to talk about here. Let's just jump into it. The episode starts by misleading the fans, proving that once again, you can never trust TV writers. We see Felicity and Oliver in their secret house, which is odd considering Felicity is in labor. Yeah, not sure why she chose to go with a home birth here, but it does all clear up later, so don't worry about it. The point is, that's pretty much the last time that we see Oliver the entire episode. The rest of the show is a nice look into his child's future. There's tension between her and her mother, and something about the past is getting in between their relationship. The ghost of Oliver's past haunts the entire runtime. It's here that we do need to mention that Green Arrow made some kind of deal with the Monitor in the last episode of ELSEWORLDS. Perhaps that's why he's absent in the future. On the surface, this feels like it's simply a great Supergirl episode. It's loaded with twists and excitement to boot, not to mention the re-emergence of Lex Luthor as a big bad guy. He's really the star of this one, but it becomes clear in later entries. Trust us, you're not just investing in this episode to see Lex Luthor come back from the grave. It's crucial to understanding the Crisis on Infinite Earths, but we'll get to that here in a minute. Just as crucial is the development with John. The Martian with a bend towards peace is forced to break with his ethics. The climax of this episode sees Martian Manhunter destroy his enemy Manchester and break his vow. As Manchester is turning into dust, thank you, Kansas, he exclaims that something is beautiful. Something about John's rogues gallery is important, and it becomes more apparent in later episodes, but again, we'll get there, we promise. It's all coming together, trust us. Episode 15 of Season 4 is just the foundation layer, but the Lex Luthor payoff is still a really nice reason to recap. For being the main focal point in the Crisis on Infinite Earths, Barry's show barely builds the hype. I mean, seriously, Supergirl and Arrow do a lot more to foreshadow the potential outcome. I don't know, maybe it's because Flash made the Crisis cool before the rest of the shows. Regardless, Season 5 is a must-watch for the Crisis, but 2 episodes are particularly important. The first is another flash forward, but this time it's to the year 2049. The audience now knows Nora West Allen's big secret. Eobard Thawne is her mentor. Yeah, the Reverse Flash is coaching her from his prison cell while he waits his punishment. Thawne instructs Nora in this weird Hannibal Lecter-style relationship. She literally goes to him because he's a villainous speedster just like her enemy, Godspeed. The episode ends with Barry confronting Thawne 10 minutes before his scheduled expiration date. Being that Reverse Flash is stuck in a time loop, that fate is not all that catastrophic. The Crisis on Infinite Earths is still set to happen and Barry knows it. Still, he relishes the moment that he gets to watch Thawne finally face the music. This is a huge Lex Luthor episode, which makes sense given the fact that the episode is called The House of El. Obvious points aside, there's a lot to break down from this trippy episode. It's filled with excellent acting, but that's not the only reason to rewatch it. The primary character is Red Daughter, the Kasnian replica of Supergirl with few memories of her copy's life. The second Supergirl was created by Zor-el, who's super key to the whole Lex Luthor timeline. Her only memory is of a trusted person named Alex. Yeah, even Kara's clone still remembers her sister. Retweet this if that makes you cry every single time. So, Lex being a baddie plays the part of Alex for his new Supergirl. He instructs her to hate capitalism and buy into her Kasnian programming. He pushes a few buttons here and there and bam, we've got ourselves an evil Kara Danvers. However, he injects her with Zor-el's blood, which is the same serum he used to cure his cancer. The Zor-el and Lex dynamic is a big part of this event, so seeing it grow here is key. No matter what anyone does, the Flash will always disappear. Reverse Flash stated it with prophetic poise in a way that forced every fan to reckon with that fact. We don't want it to be true, but all signs point to the possibility. I guess we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. The climactic Season 5 finale is focused on the legacy of Nora West Allen. She was the spotlight of the whole season and her responsibility is felt here. After all, the Cicada trouble is a direct response to her involvement in the timeline. Thawne wanted her there to stop the villain because it would free him from his shackles. With Cicada 2, Electric Boogaloo finally defeated, the team can rest easy. Well, except for the fact that it saved Nora, but freed Reverse Flash. The team confronts the tricky speedster and apprehends him. Except there's a problem. The timeline is shifting and resetting again. Thawne is displaced and it's altering history. We discover his freedom is directly connected to the new Crisis date, December 10th, 2019, which means Barry never gets the chance to have Nora with Iris, and she disappears in the end. It's all coming together now. The finale of Supergirl's 4th season saw a lot happen. Lex Luthor pulls the trigger on his big plans and all the aliens in the United States watch as the dominoes fall on top of him. Lex is always a few steps ahead. However, the show is called Supergirl and not Lex Luthor. Kara finds a way to expose the corrupt US government and stop President Baker from continuing his unlawful reign in office. She confronts Lex Luthor and the two battle it out like two true rivals. The third act is coming along nicely, but the resolution throws a wrench in the whole thing. Lex expects to see Lena Luthor in his final minutes alive. In the end, he spoils the truth and tells Lena that Kara is Supergirl. The audience assumes that that's the end, but then we see the Monitor. Turns out the dude wanted Lex to stay alive as part of his plans for the multiverse. We also see John's main villain in the wings, waiting to be released. We felt it was fitting to end this list of episodes with the show that started it all. Back in October of 2012, the world was introduced to a brand new Green Arrow. We witnessed Oliver Queen grow as a hero and fight off his demons along the way. Over time, the CW family grew larger and Arrow is beginning to feel like the odd man out. The finale of the 7th season is setting us up for closing time. We get another flash forward to Mia in 2040 that confirms something that we all knew was coming. Oliver is a victim of the crisis. His tombstone clearly reads 2019. On top of that, the Monitor fetches him for the bargain they struck in ELSEWORLDS. Turns out, Ollie promised to help save the multiverse, and Felicity is able to come find him in the year 2040. The two will retire after Season 8 and live happily ever after in some unknown breach point. It doesn't solve the problem for Barry Allen or Kara Danvers, but we're certain that Green Arrow's fate is sealed. Do you have your own strong feelings about what happens in the Crisis on Infinite Earths? Share it with us in the comment section down below. Don't forget to toss in a like, we'd appreciate that, and subscribe for more great content from The Binger. It's your interest that keeps The Binger making content daily. Thanks for watching.